gonna gatekeep all these tourists playing Honkai Starbucks, banned from playing the story unless you can zero cycle Nikito, right? Like, unless you can clear that, you can't even proceed. Why is this comparing this to a AAA game? It's fine. So I feel like the emotional impact for Enforce is probably the most I've ever seen in Honkai Starbucks. Because if you want to think about it, right, Penacony is like everybody was just sleeping.
The HSR 3.0 review by yours truly. I put a lot of time and effort into this. I wanted to give as much constructive feedback as I can to my community, as well as, and hopefully, to the developers, so that they can fix those elements that I was discontent with. I do a bit of praising on certain elements in this video, but it's more so criticism and scrutiny than it is praise. And that's just because that's what my personal experience was going through the story. I did not do everything in the game. This is more so of a story review as opposed to an entire 3.0 patch review. I still got to get through all of those other elements before I go and follow up with that. The other thing I want to let you know is there will be a bit of spoilers in here because I kind of wanted to highlight and amplify some examples on hand to provide substance to the plausible cause that I was pointing out in this video. Anyways, without further ado, you guys enjoy. The very first element I want to tackle off rip is going to be the one I have the most discontent with. This is to no one's surprise that watch my live stream. It's the presentation of the story, which many people get confused about. They think, oh, the story's so good, bro. No, the dialogue is good. The storytelling is absolute dog doo-doo. I gave it a 0.1 out of 10, which is as close to a 0 as possible. And I did that intentionally because that's the amount of effort I think they put inside of the story. As bare minimum of an effort as possible when it comes to presenting the story. A 0 would be a black screen. Black Swan presses her forehead against March 7th's head.
March 7th hit by a
Today, tomorrow, what difference does it make?
Not like I need to look at the story.
Continues to shine this brightly.
Niggas don't be doing nothing.
Works, but if it's going to put you at ease.
Back in the temple.
Bro, folding them arms. Look, holding the fuck out them arms, Jack. That's all niggas know how to do. Holding them hoes like the way.
I know. You should not have hesitated then.
Coffee helped out big time, chat.
I don't have the right words for you now, but...
One day later.
Please continue with this mentality.
The cameraman on strike.
I believe you'll be all right.
The cameraman's on strike.
Oh, I fucking set that bitch up and down, bro. But before we go into the many examples I have on hand of the story presentation being asked, I would like to bring up a quick little analogy here. Have you guys ever seen like Animal Planet or Planet Earth or About Space, Life Below?
I realized bro is playing Zenless Zone Zero in the background. He's staring at Ashra Yao's giant booty cheeks.
The sea. There's many documentaries about our planet, the life that inhabits it, and how it functions and how everything comes to be. In fact, I would like to bring up Morgan Freeman because he's made a lot of these, and he's got some of the most god tier voice acting known to mankind. That guy is he's a godsend with his voice acting. Let's be honest here. I watched all the documentaries with Morgan Freeman, and while I would argue that his voice acting is one of the strongest elements of me enjoying it, it's not why I enjoy it necessarily. It's just one of a conglomerate of elements. The other element being dialogue, but then the other element being what they're showing on the screen as bro is cooking with his voice.
The creatures in this fascinating species do not have brains, teeth, or even simple nervous systems.
That is the very important one, okay? If you look at Life Below the Sea, Morgan Freeman with his god tier voice, the dialogue explaining to you that there's dolphins, whales, great white sharks, seals, explaining the detriments of the sea, the dangers of how they live their lives, prey and predator. You would hope that they're showing these things because it's significant. Now, they don't have to show every single little detail, but the things that really matter, you want to present that on screen. But imagine if you take that off screen and instead you just show Morgan Freeman talking as he's talking about these elements. Now, I'll admit that god tier voice acting is going to carry it quite a bit, but eventually you're going to get disengaged because you're not seeing anything that he's talking about. You just see him yapping. And you're eventually going to fall asleep because that voice acting is still somewhat good. Basically, that's my experience with HSR 3.0 storytelling. Jeremy Irons, by the way, is another guy I would like to reference. The voice actor for Scar in the old school Lion King. He's one of the most god tier VAs out there as well. It doesn't matter how good the voice actors are, though. If the presentation is ass, you're going to get disengaged. So many people will, at least. You're showing me the background of this place instead of showing me this gory, egregious, and destructive shit that you just explained. Once again, telling and not showing. Wouldn't you like to see the Sky Titan's divine punishment reducing shit to ash? Wouldn't you like to see that? Or would you just like to see the dialogue? Causing this land of the living to burn and an entire nation of mortals to perish. The Eye of Twilight is only one example of this. The story delivered. The dialogue is actually pretty fire. But the presentation, brother, that's the problem. HSR has some of the most piss-poor presentation I've seen. They have great dialogue that is enriched with Greek mythology, explaining the world building, the Titans and their influence on this Amphorious fantastical mythological world, how it came to be, what their roles are. So many things contained in the dialogue, and it's not yap. It's good shit. But it doesn't matter how good that dialogue is. If you're explaining how this world came to be and I'm staring at a goddamn wall, that's problematic.
The spirit water shall show you Amphorius' distant and recent past.
Before everything began, the world.
Okay, chat. Let's just be real. This was they were trolling. This fucking butterfly, bro, is a rage baiter, right? Bro is a rage baiter, right? Let's just be real.
Was in chaos. Three gods conceived space, time, and laws, laying down the cornerstones of life for all beings. Three more gods formed the skies, the earth.
So let me get this straight. I'm staring at the back of the main protag and Dan Hung's head and a wall while you explain to me how three gods of space, time, and law created the world, right? And then three more gods created the skies, the earth, and the land, giving life and breathing. You're doing all this and you're showing off background that is completely irrelevant to the significance of this important world build. Like, why are we not showing this? This is the meaningful moment, right? The small moments where you're just yapping and having small talk and talking about, like, I don't know, what you're doing inside of that area and the culture of people and why they are in that little water area. That's when you show off backgrounds and rant and, like, you know, the environment to give a better visual context. But the meaningful moments, we need to start showing this stuff, whether it be through a beautiful art, static image, a comic book strip like Zenless Zone Zero, or a cutscene that isn't as god tier as your marketing budget for these trailers that have the most peak visualizations. I wonder why. I want to give a quick example of what I would like to see. So I'm going to let this play as I yap about it, but this is more of what I expect to see when you're talking about meaningful world building and the richness of Greek god lore. How the gods created space, time, and law, and the skies, the earth, and the sea, and the people. Give me somewhat of akin to this visual animation that we're looking at right here so that we can have a better immersive experience as a consumer reading this dialogue. This is much better than staring at the back of Dan Hung and the main protag's head or some random background of the environment, because this is a meaningful moment for your world building. This is good dialogue that is significant for us to understand.
By the way, I completely missed out this quest. So Gacha Smack just spoiled the entire quest for me. I'm gonna kill myself in game.
And how important that dialogue is. Furthermore, if your concern here is like keeping the gods enigmatic so they remain mysterious, you don't know who they are, cover their faces, right? But show us something so that we have an idea and a better visualization. Because right now, when you just show a background, it comes off to me as, well, you just didn't want to put any effort in there, did you? And if this is too much, which I know it's not for a $30 billion company, then show still images. Again, the comic book strip idea in Zenless Zone Zero is one of the most brilliant ways to give a better visualization of the dialogue that we're consuming. I think it's genius and it should be implemented into here. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is another example on hand, the Aglaia scene when we sit down with her in the water. Oh, I have a lot to say about that.
Thank you. You can also move a little to your left. The water is warmer there.
Did you pee? I don't want to sit in water where someone peed. Refuse to move? Follow her suggestion and move a little to your left. I'd sit in her pee, not gonna lie, bro, that's disgusting. You move to the left, how wondrous. You've only moved a few centimeters, but the water around you has become distinctly warmer. Okay, so I wanted to show off that little bit of dialogue, and this is gonna come off as nitpicky, but I actually don't think it is. I think this is how we improve the storytelling inside of the space as a whole. Also, there was a bit of a joke in there with some chatter being completely unhinged, and I apologize for that. And if you say he's based, I might have to hide your comment in my comment section. Anyways, locking in. They didn't show you scoot closer to Aglaia. I find this very problematic because, again, this is a waifu collector game where everyone is excited to get in the bath with Aglaia. Everyone's excited to see a little bit of flirtation that really leads to nowhere. It's just more of a visual pleasure experience. But again, she tells you to move closer to her, and their way of doing this is just blacking the screen out and then showing a closer picture of Aglaia versus just showing you get closer to her. It's like, guys, it can't be that difficult to show a pose of him scooting over and then showing her give a little bit of a pleasurable, like, body language and expression just to tease the consumer. That's what
I want her tits on my face right now.
This is all about. I want to go to one of my favorite scenes of all time so that you guys could see the power of body language, expression, and actually showing instead of describing. You move to the left. You move to the left. How wondrous. You've only moved a few centimeters, but the water around you has become warmer. He peed on me. I'm gonna come. All right, my bad. Let me show you.
What the fuck?
I love it. Oh, bro. Man, okay. I wanted to show that real quick, short and sweet, but it describes the point. Do you see the power of when you actually show instead of tell? When you get to see the body language, the expressions on their faces, making them feel uncomfortable, a bit of awkwardness in there. This tells so much without actually having to tell. And it's one of the most wasted things in HSR that I see. There's so many moments they can capture to create a deeper immersion, a deeper intimacy or sentimental moment in their games, and they fail to do so because they just describe it instead. This right here, once again, there should have been a still image or some type of presentation of this right here, man. Show the ocean type, right? Concealed the beginning of the world. I'd like to see that. When the ancient ocean priests discovered that place, they used spirit water to build a barrier in order to prevent the... Just show an image of it. You have some of the coldest artists on planet Earth that I've ever seen designing these fire-ass characters. And you're telling me they can't fucking draw up this shit you just like explained? I mean, my God. I would like to proceed on with that scene with Aglaya inside of the bathwater so I can show you guys another problem with their presentation of story, because yet again, some meaningful dialogue pops up, and instead of showing us, they just lazily continue to show us one static image. Let's take a look at it.
Yes, you're doing great. All right. It's about time I formally introduce myself. I am Aglaya the Goldweaver, Dressmaster of Akima, and one of the Chrysos heirs of Amphorius.
You know what? I think the black screen was fair with the context.
Look, we are joined together now.
Yeah, I have no complaints about that black screen. I think they set that up beautifully. You got to listen to her sexy... God damn it, Bobby. I thought this was beautiful. Give credit where credit's due. This was a great presentation moment,
100%.
but it quickly collapsed because what ends up happening is you stay on this scene even when we move from dialogue that has nothing to do with this intimate, beautiful masterpiece of an artwork.
Chat, you know where else we can see this? Yo, hold up. でかいね。
We start talking once again about significant world building dialogue, and we're still staring at Aglia. In fact, I'm going to skip 30 seconds ahead. Boom, right? Skip 30 seconds ahead. And some of me is a bit yapping, right? But you see, we're looking at this. Did you feel that? The golden threads are rippling. They reveal the distrust you still have for Okima. This is actually pertaining. It's pertinent to the picture on the screen. In fact, so I'm gonna mute this dialogue, but if we go ahead and skip 30 seconds ahead again, this is where I have problems because a lot of lines are going by as we're sitting here talking about this, right? And we get to this part and she mentions the pantheon of titans that once ruled our world has become the very affliction that eats away at Amphorius. An unfathomable power changed something within most of these titans, inducing their rage and madness. This is no longer
Pantheon.
a dialogue that warrants the picture we're looking at. We need another still image. Y'all have some of the most god tier
Yeah, I need a still image of Aglia's ass cheeks. Like, enough of tits, bro.
work artists known for the drip marketing, the characters you present. Even this, there's no way you can't create another still image to explain this dialogue and give better, once again, visualization to what it is you're talking about. This is significant. We go a little bit further, and she's talking about Amphorius has fallen into eternal night, the black tide engulfing our world. Okima is now the only city to receive light. We owe it to the world-bearing Titan's protection. Show the goddamn world-bearing Titan. Why are we still looking at Aglaya? It just doesn't make sense, other than it's lazy, bare minimum effort of presentation. Now, I know I've already been cooking the living hell out of HSR 3.0, but to all the griping I've been giving about presentation, I want to at least show off a clip or a moment in the story where they actually did what I've been telling you guys I want them to do this whole time. And let's go ahead and take a look at it. It says, that's the giant sword used to destroy heavenly kingdoms long ago, followed by one city-state after another. This is showing and telling, right? That's the giant sword that the Strife Titan used to destroy Sky Titan's heavenly kingdom long ago. And they're showing it. Lightning in the sky, destructive, the sword looks beautiful. And then they continue explaining this rich history of the Strife Titan god. It's not just a weapon. It's the faith of the Crimnone people, souls who died heroically on the battlefield will further temper the blade in the Strife Titan's hand, becoming a part of the God King's power. All I ever ask, do this way, way, way more, especially when it's 10 hours of dialogue. Can we get this 80 million times more than how you present it? Because in 10 hours of dialogue, you will see this level of presentation. I'm not gonna lie, man. Maybe in total of 10 hours, maybe about 5 minutes out of those 10 hours, you'll see this level of presentation. And so with that, I have many more examples, but I think you guys get my point on that gripe. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now I would like to move on to another, once again, presentation error in HSR. I noticed throughout the entirety of the playthrough, the quality of their one-dimensional storytelling, which they love presenting people interacting inside of the world they built, and then they just switch the camera angles around as people are sitting there conversing, hitting pose 1, pose 2. They love doing that. And like, whereas in a game like Zenless Zone Zero, it's such a diverse, methodical approach to storytelling, right? They have the 2 characters on the screen with the blurred out background interacting with one another, 3 to 4 of them. They have the comic book strips. They have a bunch of still images they'll put out, and they have numerous cutscenes. And then they also have HSR's version of storytelling where they go into the open world and talk, but generally that's not voice acted because it's like presented as small talk. Essentially, they only ever talk inside of Zenless Zone Zero, inside of their world, when it's like small talk moments. So what's crazy is that in HSR, the small talk moments in Zenless Zone Zero are pretty much, that is their one dimension of just presenting you their story the majority of the time. And what I found out was they do the most like bare minimum effort at that version of it until important moments pop up. And I want to show you one of those important moments because I think once I point it out, you'll be like, oh, wow, that is an increase in quality. But that increase in quality should be the bare minimum quality they present the 90% of the time they're showing off the story. Okay, just so you guys know, this is going to be spoilers for some of the stories. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I suggest you just don't watch this part.
Spoil. It's in 1 week. Spoil them all.
This part was crazy to me because I immediately, as I'm watching it, I noticed, and I'm talking about an immediate improvement and camera angle quality, expression of the characters, their body language, how they're moving. They're not as stiff anymore. I was just like, kind of like taken aback by it. I was like, wait, so they're able to give better quality of what they do 90% of the time in their one-dimensional ass storytelling, but they only want to use that quality in the moments that are actually important. And what I find crazy about this is I'm just like, dude, this ain't even that good. I'm truly being fair. This is not even that good. And they only use this during the important moments that I think should just be cutscene. Right, going up into this fight, this should just be fucking cutscene. And then after the battle, it should be cutscened again. I want to skip ahead and show you guys. Look at it, showing him walking up to him. I think he does like a big mean mug face right here too. You will not see this level of engagement, camera shifting in angles, 90% of the story. Like, look at that. They zoomed in on his face and stuff. You won't see it. They will only show it in the very important parts. And I'm like, dude, that should just be like bare minimum quality throughout your entire freaking story, man. So they run away. They show him looking back and they show them running and they zoom back into him. I'm like, I can't, where is this at the rest of the story, man? You know, speed ahead. I just wanted to show this real quick too. Okay, so they show him off right here. He's talking to the big bad boss or whatever. And then they show him run, stop, and look back. I'm like, this is so much more immersive, you know, because it's actually not doing the whole I talk, you talk thing. It's truly transitioning and you're able to get a better visual experience of what's actually occurring. And then this dude pops a smile. I'm like, bro, where are these expressions at, man? Because I just spent 90% of my story consumption looking at people just do this. And so I bring this up because I want you guys to understand this is the bare minimum. When I say bare minimum expectation of quality that you should be getting in HSR story. Because I'm going to be honest. This is still inferior to how Wuthering Waves interactions are. Their body language is much more like present. Their expressions are like this all the time in Wuthering Waves. They are like the camera angle shit. Like the quality is consistent throughout the entirety of the 2.0 updates. And that is what you should expect from HSR as well. Next up on the list is going to be the pacing of HSR 3.0, which to be honest, I thought it was relatively well executed or pertinent to the world building and character development of the story, as well as the plot. Some people might complain about a lot of the yapping, but I don't think it's the yapping that's problematic. As I said before, it was the presentation of that yapping. But if you want to learn about like Amphorius, again, the Titans and their significance and how they tie into Amphorius, the Chrysos heirs, the people, their cultural beliefs, Mighty and Finon's relationship, Aglaia and Triby's relationship, Castoris and what she and her goal is, you will learn literally everything there is to know. They cover it all. They do a fantastic job considering that it's just 3.0 to the point where 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, so on and so forth. You're not going to be confused if you paid attention to what's happening in terms of world building. Now, I will say there was one major problem with the pacing later on in the story, and that was those goddamn puzzles. Bro,
I can't do puzzles. Ooh, it's too damn hard. Yeah, nah, I'm good, you know. It is what it is, you know. Ooh. Bro, he's gonna fucking die, bro.
Bro, I just want to play the story, man. I compare the puzzles in their story to the TVs in Zenless Zone Zero in the beginning. Full disclosure, I love the puzzles. I just don't think they should have as much of the volume of puzzles that they had when you're trying to stay
Nah, we
immersed
need
into the
more.
story.
We need more puzzles.
There was this one.
We need to gatekeep all these tourists playing Honkai Starbucks. No, you guys can't even play the story, bro. You're banned from playing the story unless you can goddamn do the puzzle. You're banned from playing the story unless you can zero cycle Nikito, right? Like, unless you can clear that, you can't even proceed. That should be the way, you know? We need to gatekeep people more, absolutely.
Part during chat where I was like, chat, we've been playing for 9 hours. There's no way I still have 3 hours of story. And they're like, yeah, you do, yeah, you do. Come to find out, I had 2 hours of puzzles and 1 hour of story. Yeah, there's going to be this part where you get to where every time you enter a room, it's a puzzle you got to get through. And that takes like 20 minutes. Then you enter the new room. Guess what? More puzzles you got to get through before you enter the next room to more puzzles. I was just like, oh my fucking God, bro. And it's just to the point where it's mind waning, right? And, you know, if they just put like maybe I'd say 60% of those puzzles in an area where you're able to finish the story, go back and do them, it's a much better experience. But for me, I was just like, God damn, bro, I'm cooked. And, you know,
okay, chat, I'm going to pause this real quick. I want to say, so far, I agree with every single thing he said. I think everything for the first 23 minutes, we played this at 1.2 speed. Everything is spot on, right? They can do it. They should do it more, right? It is completely spot on. It's just that for my own review, I'm not that bothered by the lack of presentation because I am more focused on the plot of the story itself, which is why I'm okay with it, right? Even though they could be doing more, I'm still okay with it, right? But if you prefer storytelling to be better, that's also completely fine, right? I'm in complete agreement. They should be doing more. They can do more. But yo, I love the puzzles, man. This is the first part. I'm gonna say nah. I like the. I really don't think I spend too much time in the puzzles. The most time I spent stalling in 3.0 was literally when I was like running around trying to find the goddamn puzzles. I was trying to find the little puzzle pieces just to get that 5 stellar jades. Me finding that puzzle was like longer than me actually doing it. I think the puzzle was great, but that's just me personally.
At that point, it's just kind of a torturous experience, honestly. But
torturous is crazy.
The pacing was pretty well executed. The puzzle was just fucking nightmare at the end. Now, moving on to the world design and plot. World design, I was at a 7 out of 10 for it. Greek mythology, first of all, carries hard in world design, right? If you got Greek stuff and elements, you're kind of going to be impressed. Just because,
the coins,
man, wow, look at those titans, bro. Dang, man, dude, look at those like buildings in the sky. Like it's pretty easy to cook up a Greek world design. My problem was more so the graphic fidelity of the textures. Although detailed, it also kind of was lacking that polish and refinement. The characters look better than the background, which, to be fair, that's a common problem in a lot of games, that is. But I still was expecting that Hoyo polish on those background textures and more vibrancy too. One thing I kept mentioning was that the world looked a bit desaturated. And that's odd because Hoyo, if anything, especially when you look at Genshin, the vibrancy and coloration is insane. Now, some of these elements were tackled in certain areas. I think Aglaya's area was absolutely like gorgeous with the world-bearing titan in the background, and then some of the water, like the golden water, that looked really nice.
First time I've seen something that's actually worthy of praise. This is like the only funny thing getting praised in this game.
That's Aglaia after gym and goes take a shower.
The way you like that, I made it. Fucking the way picture, man. I modeled that.
But then you would look at water in other areas and it just looked like PS1 graphics. And I'm just like, damn, that looks ass. Like, chat, what the fuck is this right here, bro? What even is this? Is this supposed to be water? Is that supposed to be water, bro?
That's cum.
Brother man. Bro, it's literally PS1 graphics. So that's my opinion. I think it was about a 7 out of 10, but could have been a bit more polished and refined, especially considering Hoyo reputation for that. Now, the plot was one of the best, I think. It's one of the stronger elements of the HSR 3.0 story.
It's the best of the best of the best.
Different plots. First of all, again,
it is the best of the best.
Spoilers. I'm letting you know that right now in case you want to click off the video. Go ahead and get up out of here. March 7th's plot is fantastic. How they introduce March 7th is not feeling good, to the ending, to where they show her off, as well as some of the like little, I feel like hints they're giving as you're going through the story. I love how they set that up going into 3.1. I also love how Finan is coming off as this chivalrous hero who's so likable and charismatic, but he low-key is sus as fuck. He is. It's like he's trying to get everybody to trust him a bit too hard here. And then at the end, they show off that, that picture of the pink-haired girl in their relationship. And then they show this savage, still image of her on the next cutscene that looks a bit crazy. That was really interesting. I loved that. But my favorite plot was the plot I was fucking waiting on the entirety of the goddamn story. Yeah, the Herta. Like, brother, I had to get through 14 hours of story just to find the hurt. What the fuck, man? But those three and the way they introduced them and how they like pertain to the story was beautifully done, well executed. And I think that boiled down into the dialogue and the pacing of the story. I thought that was great, man. Oh yeah, there's two more elements I want to talk about and then we'll wrap it up. And that is the music and the emotional impact. Starting off with the music, let's get this out the way real quick. I gave it like a 5 out of 10. I actually think it's more closer to like a 4 out of 10. It's because most of the tracks sound like you can just get them off of any copyright-free like website. Like Epidemic, you want to go find some of these tracks they have in the game, they probably have it on there. It wasn't really innovative. It was very like unimpressionable. There was literally just 3 tracks. One and was like, it was right after the cutscene with Finan. You're hearing like these like war outcries, battle cries and shit in the back as you're talking. It sound real like invigorating. It was gangster. And then the other 2 were literally boss fights. The boss fight songs. Dumb shits was especially that last one. That last one was peak. Bro, this shit like, I feel like a band is marching, bro. I feel like I'm watching that movie with Nick Cannon, bro. Motherfuckers coming out there marching and shit, bro. But outside of that, the environmental songs is just like, that's real mid. And maybe 2.0 Wuthering Waves spoiled that a bit for me because all those songs were so breathtaking. But the last one is emotional impact. Piss poor, classic Hoyo effort. Anything that's serious immediately gets drowned out by the Hoyo way. I remember I walked up to the line intentionally and picked all the worst possible answers during the Aglaia spoilers. All right.
All right, we wanted to kill
Aglaia interrogation scene. And I was just like, I guarantee you, chat, they're not going to go through it. They won't even like do a soft like kill where you have to restart your game and go back to this dialogue. This is no laughing matter. It's an interrogation. I like this, chat, but we all know that HSR always sails off into the sunset. So I can't take this serious. I'm just being honest. I literally picked all the options and they try to walk right up to the line, making you think like you're going to die and then you get saved. And then later on during the dialogue, Aglaia goes, oh, I was never going to kill them.
Yeah,
like,
I had the exact same feedback. As I would have respected her more if she like did as, yeah, I was going to kill them. I would have respected her more. Yeah,
that was pathetic, bro. And so like every single time they try to like build up to these serious moments, I'm just like, yeah, no, we know that's not gonna happen because they're never ever gonna actually kill anybody. And there was this part during the story where the dude, the god himself, explains how important death is and how it gives meaning to life. I'm like, oh, so they understand it inside of the story, but they don't understand it inside of putting it in the story. It's just like, damn, press. It's so ass. So at the end of the day, you know that's coming in Hoyo stories, and it does 100% kind of butcher any seriousness of the stories for me. But there's no real emotional impact. There isn't, because you always know they're going to get saved by the Hoyo way, and that is truly unfortunate. In fact, to drive that point home just a little bit more, the only person that was ever in any real danger in the entirety of the playthrough was Mighty Mos, or Mighty. Yeah, Mighty fought the other god, and
Mighty was never going to
like get killed. Well, he's immortal. Oh yeah, it doesn't really matter. Right, he's just going to come back to life.
Okay, I feel like bro kind of missed out on the whole Tribi thing. I'm not sure if bro read the books for Tribi. I think Tribi's... I think the game hinted very, very heavily that Tsundere 2 was going to die. And quite possibly Tsundere 3 as well. That's why we only see Tsundere 1 as the character. I think Tribi was one of the one that they are like, okay, yep, she's gone.
Try not to get killed too many times. I hope with somebody as immortal as him, he actually gets killed at least once. I hope. Kill him at least one time, game. At least. If bro can come back to life, at least kill him one time.
Quit the story as soon as the story finished. Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame.
This is the one guy where you could kill him at least once. Good old Goku buff. Good old Dragon Ball Z buff. That's going to wrap up every single one of my thoughts. Holy yappening. I hope you guys had a good impression on what my review was. I tried to be as fair as I could. Was there a lot of criticism? Absolutely. But I'm the type of person where if there's a lot to scrutinize, I'm going to do that. If there's a lot to glaze, I'm going to glaze. And in this particular case, there just was more criticism than there was glazing. Thanks for watching. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Peace, love, and happiness. Catch you guys on the flip side.
I just realized he says peace, love, happiness, and we gotta love peace and happiness. And I swear I didn't want to copy that shit, right? I strongly agree with everything he's saying in like everything here. Like all these examples that he brought up of like how he can improve the storytelling. I think they're all very, very valid. Right, even if you, for example, right, if you wanted to compare this to an FF game, right, I think some of you guys are, okay, why is he comparing this to a AAA game? It's fine. I still think it's okay because it's not like they can't do it. You get what I'm saying? Like, maybe not exactly to this degree. Like, this is a pretty extreme example of like super detailed models. Like, the hairs are like flowing all the place. Like, maybe not to this extreme degree, but like something along this line. Aglaia bath water scene as a title is crazy though. Yeah, but I 100% agree with the presentation problem and like how they can fix it. And if this I think this is Gacha Smack's biggest gripe, and I fully agree. The puzzle stuff, I already said it, you know. I think it's fine, right? I think the puzzles are fine. The world design, I really liked it. I really liked Amphoria's world design. So I guess this is just a matter of like personal preference. The plot is also okay. The music, you know, also is subjective, so I think not too much. I think the emotional impact is just one last thing I kind of want to touch on, which is he mentioned that there was no way that our character was gonna die, right? But this was specifically pertaining to, for his, in his example, is Aglaia and Maide. But we know that even though they didn't show it, which technically it kind of boils back down to storytelling, right? They didn't really show it, but we know that entire cities have been destroyed. Like, civilizations are collapsing, and like Oklahoma is like one of the last then. And like Tribi's, okay, I know this is technically not part of the story, but like potentially Tribi's entire clan is dead. There used to be more of them, and now it's just the 3 of them. And Aglaia mentioned Triane, like, which is Tsundere 2. She only has like 2 or 3 users of her gate left, and they just used it one more time during that final battle, which means she might be at the last few usage. Alright, she might be at the last few usage. And then the whole Gaius, that whole arc was kind of like going back into Castrum Kremnos and see how this empire just fell, and we have to kind of bring back the state and give, technically it's not even Nigador, it's basically Gaius, give him like a proper rest. So I feel like the emotional impact for Amphoros is probably the most I've ever seen in Honkai Starbucks. Because if you want to think about it, right, Penacony is like everybody was just sleeping. Like, if you really want to think about it, everyone was sleeping. And then they woke up. Whoopee-kaye, right? Literally nothing happened. Legit nothing fucking happened. Firefly didn't die. Okay, maybe except for Misha and Gallagher. Everyone else was chilling, right? Bellabok, sort of kind of chilling. They had a winter. We saved Cocolia. Shenzo, I'm gonna keep it about. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Shenzo. But yo, please stand prime. I think that Amphoros is probably gonna be one of the more real gritty stages. But he is also completely vetted in. We would love to see those, right? I feel like we can summarize this whole thing as we would love to see those, right? They were explaining how, like, you know, the empire is collapsing, you know, ash, dust settles everywhere. People are like, we would love to see more of that happening. Gacha Smack said he liked the Herta arc for, like, I think the last 30 minutes is. I don't like it. I did not like the Herta arc because I felt it was super out of place. It felt very forced to merge her with 3.0. I felt like they could have just pushed it to 3.1 if you want to establish the introduction of Nose and see whether or not you want to combine this bridge with Amphoros. Or they could just done like a companion quest, right? We have seen companion quests before. They could have just done like a Herta companion quest. I think it would have been great as a standalone, but I think it's a little bit extra. Not to mention, it basically added on like another whole, like what? I think 45 more minutes of addition right after Amphoros ended, which is why I felt like the ending of the entire 3.0 story, it kind of fell flat. I mentioned this in my tweet as well, if you guys want to take a look. Oh, not this one. Not this one. Okay, not this one. Yeah, this one, right? The ending felt kind of flat for me. Sort of like a cliffhanger, because Phynon is going to potentially get his core flame, is going his trial. I feel like if they ended there, at the March scene, right? The March 7th bit, or trying to build up towards the, maybe if they want to do Herta, like introducing Herta as Noose, I think that would be a nice ending. But because they inserted this Herta scene, it made me feel the impact of what I just experienced for the I think 9 hours or 8 hours, a little bit less impactful. Like, I just had a goddamn the best boss fight of my entire life, and now I'm looking at Herta being narcissistic and killing random mobs at like Space Station. That's why I did not like that part. I did not like that. Aside from that, that is pretty much it. Alright, see you guys in the description. Bye. You have coomed your last coom, my man.